I'm scrapping any second-tier domestic cups, right? You got your cup, you got your league. Done. There's several countries around the world that have this second cup. We're forgetting about that. It's just more games, and it opens up a couple of pockets here in the schedule, especially for the big clubs. And you know what? We can discuss that maybe not all teams need to play in that second cup, right? All right. Then, for the cups that have a replay, forget about it. Pa' fuera, pa' la casa, we're getting rid of it. No replays in cups, all right? And if you're worried about money and revenue and whatnot, I do have kind of a caveat for that. We can discuss it later, but as of now, just to open up those pockets in the schedules, no replays. Number 3, this is specifically for the Premier League. I'm not eliminating Boxing Day. I'm not eliminating in the New Year, that January 6th, 7th, 8th type of games, but I am eliminating the New Year's games. Around the 29th, 30th, 31st, 1st and 2nd of January, take those out. You get one match day off just for the players to get that reset, right? Boxing Day is still happening. I'm not taking that away from you guys. Very cultural, I understand that. I'm not taking that away. And there's games quite literally 3, 4, 5 days right after the New Year. Like, but the New Year's Eve fixtures, done. Take a rest, take a beat. It's an important part of the calendar personally for everybody. All right, Club World Cup, scrapping it. Out. We're going back to how it was before. The continental champions and the host, the winner of the domestic league, wherever the cup is being played, can participate too. Only 7 teams. It starts and it finishes quickly, especially for the European teams that still might be in season. They don't have to play all 4 games that it takes to win it. They can play 2 games, the semifinal and the final, as it was before. All right, number 5, reduce the World Cup back to 32 teams. Right? 48 teams, it just creates for too many mixing and matching on the qualifiers. Let's go back to how it was before and let's make the games more meaningful, right? Every game needs to matter just a little bit more. And then, number 6, Conference League. If you're a UEFA member association, meaning a country that's in the top 5, in the top 5 tier, you're not allowed to play in Conference League. Done. Conference League is for countries that will never probably aspire to have a club win an international trophy. And I get it, your West Hams of the world. No, it's for Olympiacos. West Ham has an incredible budget. They shouldn't be competing in Conference League versus the Olympiacoses of the world. So I've got a couple more things. I have a little bit of an issue with Nations League. I don't think ultimately it's benefited everyone. It does give everybody a better chance, but I think we need to really reconsider so much soccer.
Surprised 7 wasn't get rid of morning footy. You got rid of 3 things on this network. I have a couple issues.
Yeah.
One, if to go through your list, I kind of agree with the winter games for England. There should be a winter break. I think that would be good, especially mid-season. Let players kind of get rehabilitated.
Yeah.
But you've taken away the ability for smaller teams and lower divisions to get additional revenue by not having the replay. That's a big argument now.
So how's the revenue split now? 50-50 if Swindon Town plays at Manchester United?
They split it
50-50.
Which is
All right.
a massive
Okay.
for Swindon Town.
Make it 65-55 if a team from a lower tier is playing a team from a higher tier. 65-50, 65-45. 65-35, wow, math. In favor of the team from the lower tier.
And never play at the lower league home.
It's the draw. It's the draw. If you get the draw and it's at Swindon Town, you go to Swindon. Manchester United has to go to Swindon Town, and the revenue still, if it's a lower team versus a higher team, the lower team gets a higher share of the revenue.
I'm not necessarily sure that would work also with PSR rules, right? Because any penny in revenue is massive.
You have to tweak it. This is me brainstorming. And
I like what you're.
I'm trying to shave off meaningless games. I think now, especially, and I would change the Champions League format. You can the amount of teams, not the format. You can keep league phase, but reduce the amount of teams. Make every game mean more, right? Because now we got an Inter Man City on match day 1 that felt like that big game 0-0 and whatever. Okay, both teams are good with a tie. We'll move on, right?
I think
that draw would have meant a little bit more had there only been 6 games and less teams in the league phase.
I don't think you're wrong. I kind of agree with you that if it's going to be a Champions League, every game should be, thrilling. It should have heavy stakes attached to it. That said, I feel like the big question is the battle of revenue between FIFA and UEFA. Right? If that's the big question, if you're going to earn more revenue by playing more matches, then you're going to be able to compete with UEFA, who has Champions League, which is this monolith. I looked at the numbers recently. It was 1.7 billion a year to 4-point-something billion a year.
And this is where my problem is, right? Because the people that are making the decisions are people in suits that aren't playing and aren't training week in, week out, and they're just trying to one-up each other, right? Between either Ceferin or Infantino, to try to create a product that's going to make them a lot of money and for them to be a dominant power in global football. So it's kind of, they're in this battle when the players aren't in consideration.
No, the players are the ones that are being overused.
Correct. And I'm making these decisions. These decisions are like me and my Infantino and Ceferin brain has come together. All of this is going to happen all at once, right? Everyone has to curb back. There needs to be a consensus, and that only happens if the players strike or make a or raise their concerns.
Yeah, I guess
very vocally.
For me, I guess the big question is, how do clubs and the federations continue to earn the revenue that they're seeking? How does FIFA continue to build up the revenue that they have, which is important? If everyone said no to a World Cup every 2 years, now you're going to get a bigger Club World Cup. You're still going to be hit with a different side of the hammer.
Bring back a Federations Cup.
At the end of the day, I think what the real issue is how do we stop these players from getting injured and overworked? Maybe it's adding more substitutes, which I don't think anybody really wants to see.
No, then we're playing another sport.
Maybe it's simply giving an opportunity to other players in some of these competitions. Maybe your A team doesn't go to the Club World Cup.
I'm dying to hear from Chuck.
Oh yeah, that'll go great. You qualify for the Club World Cup. We're going to send our reserves.
So you're going to send the players that have just played 60 matches?
The whole reason for a Club World Cup is to show that you're the best club in the world. Officially,
sure,
and the fans, especially in a Club World Cup that's in America, they get the opportunity to see the best players play on those best teams. And you're going to say,
I'm simply saying the real issue is players getting injured. That's what we want to stop. Find a way for them to play a little less.
Charlie,
football.
can I ask you a question? How many matches is a reasonable amount for a professional football player to put in a calendar year? A reasonable amount.
Rodri said 50.
Yeah, so if 38 is your league, you got to throw in national team games. I'd say probably 6, and then throw in another 6 for cups. 50
I think a little bit more, just because considering you're not playing 6 national team games. There's a tournament in the summer with your national team.
You might not only get 3 then.
Right. Yeah, but you got your March window, your June window, September, October, November, right? That's already 8.
Look at this. They're at 65.
65.
Because they have a third league. Like, let's be honest.
A third cup, you mean?
A third cup, correct. So does Portugal. Portugal has a third cup.
So does Liga.
And you have replays.
Although Liga got rid of one.
Coupe de la Ligue.
Yeah.
There's replays in England. What I think we need to get back to is removing the unnecessary games and make every game a little bit more important. Because if there's football every single day.
It's more about the rest so that these important players
and on top of that,
are 100%.
I'm just thinking from a fan's perspective at this point. From the players, I absolutely agree. They need more rest. They need more recovery time.
Even the fans, they want to see players that you want to see Mbappe at 100%.
Right.
You don't want to see Mbappe in the Euros when he's at 50%.
Yeah, and don't tell me conference isn't worth it. When you saw the vibes when West Ham won, it was huge.
And you want to see
big opportunities to win trophies for lower league clubs to get opportunities to go play at the biggest venues. You're removing what I think is an essential part of football because the games have been like sort of bloviated. That's not getting rid of something that's important for the lower leagues, which helps build players, which helps build the sport in general, which is essential to places like England. Getting rid of that, I think, gets rid of part of the soul of football. When we're trying to answer is how do we stop players from getting injured from overplaying? Does that make sense?
Yeah, and I think culturally there's a component. Look, not everybody's going to be happy with this. Culturally, there's a component that you're going to be tweaking with that it is going to alter.
Something's got to give.
Something's got to give. Absolutely.
Not just hamstrings.
Could players potentially in their contracts say, I will play no more than X amount of
You know what's
matches.
the tricky part? Because just say you start.
Could.
The club's gonna be like, no.
I know.
But I'm just saying, if the players you
It is an option.
Right.
that option out there.
But imagine Pep or Arne Slot.
But then they have to work with
is
it.
in the final. But the thing is that the better teams are going to have more games.
But then you have to manage it throughout over the course of the season.
Imagine you're in the Champions League final. You're like, oh, I
can't use. I maxed him out because I was battling on the Premier League.
Isn't that on the manager to manage their time earlier in the season? Maybe there's matches that aren't as
when a club pays
significant.
Let's say
throwing
you're
it
Real
out
Madrid
there.
and you got to win everything.
I'm throwing it out there.
and you pay
Bundesliga has-
$100
Real
million
Madrid has
for a
enough
player.
good players on
Bundesliga
there.
has-
There are clubs that can withstand that because their rosters are so deep and they have so much money.
Right, but I paid $100 million for that player to not be able to play down the final stretch because I've overused him.
But back to Charlie's point, I think I'm looking at playing 65 matches. It's too much. So if you say I will play 50, I will play 55.
Yeah.
A manager can deal with that.
Right.
That's your job.
Shouldn't average more than one match per week in the calendar year.
No, but that's impossible. That's quite literally impossible.
No, it's 52 weeks.
Oh, in the calendar year, excuse me.
Yeah,
Sorry, I
yeah.
thought you meant in the season.
I was like, did he?
Yeah.
I do agree with the.
No. I think a season because everyone's playing two to three games a week.
Right. What if look, Germany has 18 clubs in the top flight, not 20, and they take a winter break. What if that's the answer? What if we limit the top flight?
Oh, England's.
Yeah, but see, then it goes back to the
Premier
whole
League in
cultural
22 when they started. They're
component
down
of
to
something's
20.
got to give. It's too much football, and that means that every single game means just a little bit less. I'd rather watch less frequently, but for that game to mean a lot more. And that's what we've lost.
On that, I think you've absolutely nailed it.
Yeah.
The meaningful matches.
I think
for
the
sure.
real answer is the uncomfortable one, which is single entity, right? And then you play during the summer. Stop me if you've heard this one before.
You put this thing called general allocation money.
Oh,
Right.
Tan
How about this?
thank you, man.
No league trophies, just League's Cup.